Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Power Possibilities. My name is Hank Setala, and of course, we have Heather MacMillian, I like to call her, because she is like the abundance queen. And we're going to be talking today about the How to Become Money Workbook.
Yay! Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here chatting with you guys about one of my favorite topics with the tools of access consciousness.
Yeah, and really, this is like for people who don't know where to start in Access, if you're not even sure about bars or anything like that, this is like a standalone class, no prerequisites, and it really can change everything about money or fill in the blank. Instead of money, you could put in whatever word or whatever thing you're working on, and to help reframe everything you think you know or don't know about whatever it is, especially in this case, money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what we're talking about, and you mentioned bars, so how about we tell people about what that magic is? Because I've had people ask me, I've posted things to my page where this is also streaming amongst a lot of other places about bars, and people are like, bars, like going out to the bar? No.
Well, actually,
relaxing.
Even taking one step back, for people who are joining us for the first time ever, what is access consciousness even?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, it's a set of tools and techniques that allow you to change what's been limiting you in any area of life, be it happiness, creativity, business, money, joy, family.
And truly, there is something in access for every single department of your life, if you want to look at it that way. And if you apply tools from even one of the basic classes like the How to Become Money Workbook or the bars, which we'll talk about next, if you really incorporate all the tools that are available, you can change any part of your life that you'd like. All it takes is the willingness to be aware and the willingness to choose. And hey, Magic Mike, he's on the mend. Hey, thank you so much for joining us.
How's it going? Thanks for joining us, everyone. Yeah, I mean, that's been one of the gifts for me with access consciousness and the bars is things have changed that I wasn't even asking for or even aware that area of my life could change. And it was like, wow, this is so easy and fun now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even with the bars class or coming to the Access Clinic nights, time and time again, people will come to this awareness that they were being held back in a certain area of their life that they didn't even realize, because you don't know what you don't know until you're willing to know it. And the tools of access consciousness empower you to know that you know. So instead of, flying blind through life, you're given tools to stop and actually ask the questions like, what would create more here? And is this really going to create more in my life? Or maybe I want to choose something else, but it gives you the tools to start, really being the question in your life. And that's where all the possibilities start to unravel and unfold.
I know. And then everything, I mean, the mantra of access, and we mention it on almost every show. It's such magic. And you can play with this by just saying it 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the evening, or lately I've been saying it like a couple hundred times a day. All of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. And what can that create? Inviting a level of ease and joy and glory in every aspect of life.
Yeah, and this is something that they recommend 10 times in the morning, 10 times at night, and do that in front of a mirror, because science, we've talked about this on the stream before, when you're looking at a mirror and you're saying this, your brain starts to associate what you're saying with what it's seeing. And so that's just a way to even fast track the fast track of all of life coming to you with ease and joy and glory. And to Heather's point, all throughout the day, 100 times, every time you're at a stoplight or anything like that, saying this in that downtime is going to help to create so much more in your life. And now moving on to bars, since we talked about access consciousness, what are these crazy things called the bars?
Oh my gosh, only one of my favorite things that just exists in the universe. It's 32 points on the head that when you lightly touch them, allow for a dissipation, a release of the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the stress, the polarity that you have in any of those areas of your life. And so we like to say in Access that at the very least, you'll leave a session feeling like you had a great massage after 60 to 90 minutes. Or at the very best, your whole life can change. And I'm definitely a testament to that, as are, at this point, thousands and millions of people around the world.
Excuse me. And I was going to say something, and then I had like this hiccup, and then I just lost it. What was I going to say? Oh,
Do you love the bars? How are the bars
totally.
for
I
you?
love the
Tell us
bars.
about your experience with bars.
Well, my experience with bars was I fell into it by accident because I had double booked myself at an event, and Ryan Dean covered for me because he was also on the lease at the time. And he had no interest in running bars, but they had an odd number of people, and he ended up getting the class, and then he was blown away by it. And then he gifted me a session, and I woke up like 90 minutes later drooling on myself, and I'm like, I feel amazing. What was that?
Go
And
Ryan.
and that was my, like, I don't know what that is, but I have to learn more. And then both he and I both became facilitators and continue to facilitate classes. And if people aren't ready for the class, on the first Thursday of every month we do a access bar clinic. You can come out, just get 20 to 30 minute sessions run for a love donation, and we do that on once a month, and everybody can come out and enjoy that. It's a nice community thing as well.
That's cool. Yeah. And on some of the other streams, you were mentioning an event going on in Akron this past weekend with bars. Did you get any information? How did that go for people? I'm really curious.
I know they hit their
That
goal
sounds
of
like
doing 50
fun.
sessions in 2
That is
days.
so awesome. That is,
Yeah.
I mean, and what I love about running bars is, as a practitioner of it, as a facilitator of it, is something that's energizing for me. And I can just imagine the space, the peace that would be available to the practitioners running 50 sessions in a weekend. Wow.
Yeah, because you give a session, you get a session. And for
Yeah.
people, you don't need to be doing it professionally as a healer necessarily. Like
No.
bars, just as a contribution for yourself or for your family, is huge. And if you are a practitioner, or then you can also come to our practitioner only nights on the third Thursday of every month. So there really is a great community around it. And if you are going to do it as a business, the clinic night, you can get new clients. So we have a lot of people that end up wanting full sessions after they get the mini session, and they book directly with their practitioner.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, when I first discovered this, I was listening to an audio of an access class, and in it, they were talking about the bars and where they are, and people were running them. And there was just, even through the audio, such an energy of peace and space and kind of ease. And I was like, wow, I'd really like to learn that. So I took my first class with no intention of like, this is going to be my business and I'm going to add this to other things that I do. It was just like, I know I'd really like this, so I'm going to go check it out. And wow, like, wow, has my whole life changed since that class in 2013.
Yeah, and then after bars, there's a class called Foundation, and really where Foundation, a lot of the tools came from, was this How to Become Money Workbook,
Yeah.
which doesn't have a prerequisite. You don't need to take bars or anything else. You can just hop into a How to Become Money Workbook. And what I find that a lot of people like to do, there is the book, Heather has it, that they take something like that first, and they find that they start to actualize more abundance in their life, and they have the extra money to take all the extra classes. So it's like a wonderful place to get started if you want to get into access and don't know about the money or anything like that. This is like, even if you didn't do anything else in access, this can go forward and help you create in all areas of your life, because money it's just an energy, and that's, the book really gets into that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I love the beautiful intro to this show, to this podcast, and because like what we are looking to do is be that dandelion, spreading the seeds of consciousness and tools of ease, joy, and glory to everyone that this touches. And I was in a class with Gary Douglas this past weekend, and he asked the class, for all of you, he was like, does money actually mean anything to you? And we were like, no. And yet he asked the question, can you open the door to more consciousness, to more possibilities? Can you contribute to the earth more with money or without it?
And we actually just did a stream, I think yesterday, was it yesterday? The days blur together. It was Friday.
Blurring together.
But we had a whole stream just on that. And as a healer, like I know when I went through a 2-year program at Lilydale, a lot of people had issues charging. And
totally.
And like what one of my teachers would say is, like, you're not charging people for your gift, you're charging them for your time. And can you do this work more if you're actually charging? Because if I hadn't charged for what I do when I first got started, I would still be doing it part-time while I worked full-time at the bank. And instead I do this full-time because I am willing to charge for what I offer. And whether you're going to be a healer, or if you're a doctor, or have some other sort of entrepreneurial business, having the space of being able to say, well, what would be fun for me to charge, or
Yeah.
and these types of questions. All this is addressed in the How to Become Money workbook.
Yeah, and thank you for that, because it's an amazing gift what you've chosen, and it is allowing us to create these streams and so much more. And I'm so grateful for that. And this tool that we're talking about, this How to Become Money Workbook by Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, is an amazing way to be present with and really become aware of the points of view that we have that are limiting what we can create. And like Hank just mentioned, those points of view that we have as the seekers of the world about what we can and can't charge for, what we can and can't receive money for. What would it be like if you just had so much more peace and space around all of that? If you could actually have and choose what would make more ease for you and everyone that you touch.
Now, so I'm curious, like, what's the difference? Because people can, of course, just get the workbook. What's the difference between just getting
Totally.
the workbook and actually going through a class like with what we're starting today, that 10-part series? Like, what is the real difference between what people experience?
Yeah, I mean, you can see this is my book, and I keep track over the years of how many times I've read this book. So this class, this 10-part series, will be my 113th time of reading this book. And what I found going through it, like I've gone through it facilitating classes, I've gone through it with friends, I've gone through it on my own, and that the first time I actually read this book, I fell asleep. There was so much unconsciousness in this area for me personally that I was just like so sleepy. And so I started reading the book to myself so that I could stay present with it and stay awake with it. And the difference in a class is that you have someone facilitating, you have someone asking you questions that you can ask your questions of like, wow, this part, I'm so sleepy at this part. What's going on here? Can you ask me a question? And we can open the door to something totally different. And every time I have read this book on my own, and every time I've facilitated a class with this book, it has been totally different because it's based on the energy of the people in the class, what questions they're asking, where they are, where access consciousness is, where the world is. So no two classes in Access are ever the same. And so we use this as the basis. We will read it cover to cover. So if you're someone who's OCD like me and keeps track of every time you've ever read any of this stuff, you will read the entire book, and we'll also be exploring what else is possible. What other questions do you have? What else would you like more ease and freedom with in this area?
No, I can speak from personal experience. This will be my third time going through the How to Become Money Workbook with Heather. In the first two classes, completely different animals. And it's really like, I think there's something to be said for the time that we're in. Like
Yeah.
all the questions are so timely. And ever since COVID, like when we had the foundation class recently, the questions that were being asked had evolved from what I was used to in foundation being very personal in nature to being much more kingdom of we in nature. And
Yeah.
that's something I noticed on our last How to Become Money workbook. It was personal, but it was also like we could see how these things could be applied to the whole as well.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like, what would we like to have as our world? And what would we have to choose and create to really actualize that?
No, and I just got pinged. I think it's for the money workbook class. We'll see. Uh,
There's nothing like the day of class. Like it's just like, wow. And if stuff's been coming up in your world and you've been kind of, on the edge with this, what would your life be like in 5 years if you chose it? And what would your life be like in 5 years if you don't choose it? And we'd love to have you in the class. Come play. What can we create with this? And what can this tool, whether you come to the class or not, what can this amazing tool of the How to Become Money workbook contribute to you and your future?
Yeah, and here's something fun. Both my kids, Max and Oliver, who are next to me, they're being really quiet, but they keep shaking the table. So if you see me like shaking, there's no earthquake in Westlake. It's my son Oliver shaking the table. but even my kids are going to be in the class tonight. And
Such a contribution.
and that's one thing that's beautiful about Access is that if they're, I believe it's 16 and under, kids are free for any of the Access classes. And so, because Gary Douglas says that the children are the ones that are really going to fix and change this world and
Yes.
get us out of the mess that we have created for ourselves. So that's a beautiful thing that Access recognizes where the real change is going to be coming from over the next years.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And with all Access classes, the question I ask with all of this is how much fun can we have? And, anytime we've ever posted that we're doing a stream on money, or anytime there's a graphic with the word money on it, it just triggers so much for people. And what if that didn't have to be the case? What if there could be ease and joy and play and fun with all of this? What would your life be like with that?
And why don't you do a clearing around this so people can kind of get a taste of it? Because the real magic of going through this workbook with the certified facilitator is the questions and the clearings that occur to help get to the root of these things that are stopping us and creating these invisible barriers that we can't smash through. Could you do a general clearing for money?
Yeah, I mean, let's start out with what's the first question in the How to Become Money Workbook, because what they're really getting at here is all of these kind of hidden and insane points of view that we have attached to money throughout all time, space, dimensions, and realities that actually put on our blinders, that don't allow us to be aware of it as an energy, as a possibility, as something that could actually be a contribution. So the first question in the How to Become Money Workbook is, what is money? And do you notice just asking that question? I mean, just all the definitions, all the judgments, all the points of view, because we've had many lifetimes. We've had other, lifetimes where money was gold, or where money was land, or it was cattle, or, whatever it is. Everything that you've defined as money, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate all of that? Or maybe even just a little fraction of a percent? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And that's the Access Consciousness clearing statement. And it's designed that when we ask questions like, what is money? That we can use that to clear all of that energy, like all of that stuckness, all of that that comes up when we ask a question like that.
Yeah. And in the description of this video, I do have a link right over to the Access site where Dr. Dain Heer has a little video that kind of takes a deeper dive into the clearing statement. And then, of course, in a bars class or a foundation class, we go into it even in more depth. But if you want to kind of get your feet a little bit more wet, check out the link to the video in the video description. Did you have another one, Heather? I'm a greedy person for clearing stuff.
Well, what have you decided money is that it isn't? And that really touches on something that's been a theme of recent streams when we've talked about this. Like, have you decided it's evil? Or have you decided that you can't be enlightened and have money? Or that you can't be happy and have money? Or have you decided that you can't be a great healer and have money? Like, what have you decided money is that it isn't? And everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Yeah. And to offer one more, an energy that comes up around money that's come up in our streams and always in the How to Become Money Workbook is this idea of glass ceilings. And a glass ceiling can be created from your parents saying, why can't you be like your brother or your sister? And they're the responsible ones. And if you align and agree with that, you'll subconsciously not out-create them. And you'll always be, even though you're consciously looking to create something more, you always come up against this barrier that you're not willing to go past for some reason. Or little sayings like money is the root of all evil. And things like that get into your psyche, or rich people aren't happy. Like, these are things that are said as children, that they have these, we call them boys in Access, these nucleated spheres, these flows of energy that percolate up and cause things to show up or not show up in our lives. And the clearing statement goes to the root of that and starts to unravel it and kill. It's like Roundup. You have to get to the roots.
It
Probably
is
that
like
exact.
wound up. That's a great analogy because, wow, yeah, the clearing statement really gets at stuff with regards to this that, we couldn't have ever imagined. And that's what I love about the clearing statement is you don't have to understand it intellectually. You don't even have to be awake for it to be, running on you. If you do fall asleep during this series, it'll still be working on you.
Yeah.
So that's one of the beauties of it is that it's designed to get at all of the unconsciousness and anti-consciousness with regards to whatever it is you're clearing.
And for people who are thinking about the class, but they can't make all of them, the class is it's 10 days, and it's
Uh-huh.
from 5:30 to 6:30 every single day, and they're
Mhm.
all recorded. So if you miss one, you get to still watch the recording. There's also a Facebook group that if in between sessions and things, you can interact with other people in the class, ask your questions if you know you're not going to be on a call. And Heather can make sure she addresses those even though you're not on a call. So there's really, you made it pretty robust if people have a busy life or something like that and they can't make all the classes.
Yeah, exactly. And really, how much fun can we have? Love to have you there.
Yeah, too much fun.
Yes.
What would it take for us to have too much fun destroying and uncreating all the beliefs we have about what money is, what money isn't, what we can do with it, what we can't do with it, why we need it, why we don't need it, and everything else you can sum up under money.
Yeah, exactly. Too much fun.
Too much fun. Now, I did post already in the comments that you can find out more. It's at emergenceofbeing.com/possibility. It will link you over to the access site to actually sign up. And also there is a link to Heather's personal bio on the Access site. So all her classes, because if you happen to be local to Maryland, she's teaching facelift classes and clarity nights
The
and bars classes all out
foundation.
of the Maryland area. Yeah, foundation. And coming up in October, guys, you are really bumping the table a lot. They're being quiet. It's like I just feel like I'm in an earthquake constantly.
I love the X-Men of the world. We can't sit still, can we? You notice I rock back and forth all the time. Like I'm not on a boat.
And that's like a whole nother subset of access that they have, like the X-Men courses for kids who have autism, ADHD. There's a book called Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree? And what if there's nothing wrong with these kids? And what if it's
Oh
really a
no.
power and a potency that we just have to learn to catch up with? And we're the ones that are behind.
Exactly. Exactly. We have to catch up. And what would it be like if we really embraced all of the abilities that we have, all the talents we have, and really use them to create greater for us in the world?
Yeah. And then the other thing I was going to just sprinkle out there for people to start saving the date for around Halloween.
Yes.
There's going to be coming
Woo!
to Cleveland, and we're going to be doing Talk to the Entities. Now, the course is not up yet for enrollment, but as soon as it is, we will let you know exactly where you can sign up for that and all that. And I will get email me when the class is announced type of thing on the emergency being /possibility page, so you can find everything that's going to be coming up right there.
Yes, that's so exciting.
I know you have to leave here in a moment, Heather. So, is there any last thought, or well, of course, be the invitation? What would your life feel like in 5 years if you take the class? What would it feel like in 5 years if you don't? And what would create more lightness and possibility in your life? That being said, though, Heather, what would be either a closing thought or a closing clearing to leave us all with?
Well, what would it take for you to have more fun today than you've ever had so far? And everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And for those of you that I will see this evening, yay! How does it get better?
It's going to be a busy evening for me because Dr. K and I have the healing clinic, and then so we're going to be on the call with you. Then we have sessions, and then I have someone coming to look at the Healy device because I'm now a distributor for the
Wow.
Healy. So how does it get any better than that? So it's a lot of stuff going on today. It's good. What are the
Cool.
endless possibilities? But until tonight, hopefully we'll see you there. You can follow the link, sign up, and if you don't have the book yet, that's not a problem. We'll be reading it on the call, and you can order it at Amazon, and by the third day, you'll have it there hot in hand and be able to go through it. So don't think that you have to have the book in order to start in on the series.
Exactly. Yay.
Perfect. Yeah, my kids are just going to have notebooks that they're going to write everything in as we go through it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. But until next time, guys, thank you so much. And we will be on for sure
everyone.
Wednesday at 7 a.m. for our regularly scheduled Power of Possibilities. And until then, stay aware. Bye, guys.
Bye.